Paul, I'll move to you. Dynatrace or Erin has a view. To what extent do you subscribe to it, or how do you view this world of trying to understand what it means to the customers, the products, or the services that you're building?
I think, we're definitely aligned in the message and the focus here because we're trying to get our arms around the complexity of the world that we live in today. As organizations grow and software software isn't the business for many businesses, like American Airlines is a great example, but look at all the software that runs the business. Literally the business is flying planes, right, and moving people. But in order to manage all of that, there's so many systems in place across the business. And so this slide actually takes a little bit different tact at this than you might think in the way that I'm going to approach it. So I'm saying that automation is really foundational for all the things that we need to do from a business perspective. We need automation to help make it happen. We still need smart people. We're not robots everywhere, taking that approach necessarily. But this becomes foundational to so many things that we do on a daily basis, and especially knowledge workers. But as we've been talking, we know that issues are going to arise. Some of those come as a result of the fast pace and the velocity that we're delivering. Some are other just plain failures of components. I mean, could be a physical component or otherwise. But being able to identify those issues quickly and respond to them. But the way we respond today is oftentimes not the same way we worked on this problem last week, and it's certainly not the same as last month or last year because of all this change, all this great, good change that's helping our business drive more quickly. If you just think about, just the microcosm of that is your phone and how many apps get updated every day on your phone. It's like, that's part of that constant change of business, trying to deliver more capabilities and more functionality to you. And so we need to be able to adapt how we respond and what we use in our responses, because oftentimes the information is changing. The services in the background are changing as a part of that. And so literally just Erin was pointing this out. It's like, you have to understand the context. And that's what we mean by service intelligence. And this is, certainly an area where AI comes into play, is understanding not only the problem and where it is, but also the context from, you could think of it as the microservices that exist in, literally the architecture that are deployed in Kubernetes containers in a cluster. Like, it could be that level, or it could be, I need people to be able to buy my product. It's that business service. All those things are services that are certainly interrelated. And so ensuring that we can actually deliver those becomes really important. I think this is also part of a maturity that organizations go through as well at the same time. And the way that we often think about it is that we're bringing automation, but you're not going to adopt all this automation at once. It's like, if you've seen some of the DevOps landscape diagrams or lists of products, literally there's hundreds of products. You could go buy all the products and still not be successful, right? It's not about the tool. It's actually about you defining that plan of how you're going to adopt and mature your processes in a practical way, because the technology is not the limiting factor. It's actually us and our ability to truly engage in changing our processes and adopting those technologies in a methodical way. It tends to be very evolutionary and not so much revolutionary, as it turns out. And this particular slide, basically the adoption is from the left to the right. And in a simple way, for us at X Matters, on-call management, automating the engagement of people is typically the first step that people do, because it's really almost low-hanging fruit. When people are doing this manually, they're actually back to that. They're wasting time.
Yeah.
They're prolonging the resolution. So automate this. It's easy to do. Turns out we've been doing it for a dozen years or more.
Yes, indeed.
But the very next thing is, let's make, that person that we're helping or to solve a problem, we want to provide them more information. So giving them more information, all the rich information that comes from observability from a great tool like Dynatrace. Like if you haven't looked at it, it's a little overwhelming, like the amount of information. But when you can get it in a context, right, and align it to a service, now it becomes practical and usable information and not just a bunch of data. That's what we want to automate and drill down. It turns out right before that step, the even better thing, this is back to maturity. Why don't we try and solve the problem before we go notify someone and send them all this great information? So automated remediation for many of, the simple problems, the easier problems to solve. This is what the Google SRE handbook is all about. Spend half your time automating the resolution and half your time solving problems. And as you get to this level of automation, the right-hand side of this just comes along. It's like you're already managing the issue or the incident, and you're creating a great audit trail so you can actually learn what you can do better, because now you know what has been accomplished and transpired within there. So it is that maturity, I think, in reality, that starts to make sense to people, as opposed to boil the ocean, and we can't do that.